This is an intro. Who needs an intro? I don't need an intro. This is just a vape show. It's just a vape show. Vape show. This is an intro. Who needs an intro? I don't need an intro. This is just a vape show. It's just a vape show. Vape show.
YouTube, what is up? I'm your homeboy Josh, back at you, and today we're taking a look at the Doode RDA from Squidoode himself, sent on over free for the purpose of this review by thecloudivapor.com. And he wanted me to let you know that he has wholesale options on this one as well, so if you're a retailer and you're looking to get your hands on a bunch of them, you can. And also, if you decide to make a purchase and get your hands on a Doode RDA as a consumer, there is a link in the description. It's an affiliate link. If you choose to use that link, it'll give me a small commission and it'll help support the channel, and I appreciate that. Before we get into this review, I do want to take the time to remind you, we all have a part to play in the fight against Big Pharma, Big Tobacco, the FDA, and the deeming regulations that are looming over our heads. That means that if you're on social media, paint the best possible image of the vape community that you can. If you're a shop or a shop owner, remind your customers they need to get in this fight if they want to keep vaping. And follow all your calls to action, including those to support HR 2058 and the Cole-Bishop Amendment. We all have a part to play. So, the Doode RDA. The Doode RDA, as in the dude, as in Squidoode, as in the man that created the staple coil, the frame staple coil, the staggered fused Clapton. Squidoode pretty much is the dude. So you gotta hand it to him. He's an innovative guy already, and here he comes with this super innovative RDA. I'm not usually one to get the reviews out as quick as I possibly can. That's really not my style, but I knew a lot of people were gonna be excited about this one. I was excited about this one, and I know that people wanna understand how this thing works and what it's all about, because it's really different. Really different. And I've put it through its paces. This is about the fourth build I've had in here already, and I feel very comfortable talking on it at this point. It comes in a very nondescript package. Inside the box, however, it gets pretty interesting pretty quick. So you're gonna find your RDA, you're gonna find a baggie of extras, you're gonna find a wrench, an actual wrench, not a little blue screwdriver. And you're also gonna have these things that look like, I don't know what they look like. They look these like bullets that you get in a gun, like hollow point bullets is what they remind me of when they're sitting they're mounted up in the felt. The presentation is really cool, I gotta say. The moment you open this, you got the RDA, and you got those little metal things all lined up next to it, and an actual wrench that says Doode on it. That's pretty cool. So, what are they? What are these things, right? Well, we'll get to that. First and foremost, let's take a look at the rest of the device. The barrel itself is shiny stainless steel, says Doode at the bottom, has the Doode's logo. Drip tip is a nice, fat Delrin drip tip. Delrin drip tip, it's something like an 11mm internal diameter, so it's big. Chuff cap here is what it is. Does not get hot, does not get warm, a nice mouth feel. And then that connects on into the top portion of the RDA. This is where you'll find your airflow control. It all kind of functions up here. And you've got two airflow holes here. You've got this sort of oval-esque kind of one up at the top. That's something like 3mm by 6mm, I want to say. And then you've got this sort of slit, like a Cyclops style slit here. And that's something like 1.5mm by like 12mm, I want to say. And as you're closing and opening up the airflow, you're basically closing down the top airflow along with that little slit. Once you've closed off that top airflow completely, you still have about a quarter of that little slit remaining open. So there's lots of airflow options here. You can basically just work with that quarter of a slit that's open. You can open them both up halfway. When you open up the airflow at the top all the way and stop there, there's basically a quarter of that slit that's still not open. You can turn it a little bit more and it'll open everything all the way up. So you've got a bunch of airflow options here on both sides of the RDA. It only takes up about the first top half, really. It's a 24mm RDA. I think it's something like 27mm in height. Versatile in the airflow options. I usually keep it about halfway open on the top, which leaves it about 3/4 of the way open on the Cyclops. Good airy draw, good flavor as well. How about the deck? I've been excited about this device for a little while now. I've been watching Instagram for updates, and I was waiting to see what this deck looked like because Ryan, Squidoode, kept it very, very hush-hush. He said on one of his Instagram posts that basically he was keeping it a secret as long as he possibly could to avoid clones being manufactured. And it pretty much wasn't until it was released that we got to see what that deck looked like. And when I saw it, I was scratching my head at first because I couldn't really figure out what was going on. Get down to the deck, that's where things really get interesting here. Squidoode really put a lot of work into this deck. He's been at it a long time, and it was kind of frustrating because I really wanted to know what to expect when I got this device, but there was no information on it except for the exterior. What it is it's called a collet system. A collet system is similar to what you'll find in a lot of Dremels and a lot of CNC machines. A collet system has like sort of interchangeable closures that you can use to basically clasp down on particular items. Now, the way that it works is you have a small option, a medium option, a large option, and an extra large option for your collets. The medium one, you actually get two of them. One already comes inside the RDA, so if you lose that one, you've got a spare. Basically, the way this works is you've got this nut that goes over your collet system here. You loosen up that nut, you take it off, you put a collet insert in there, you put the nut down on it, you put your coils on into this system, and you tighten down the bracket using the wrench. Once you have that all tightened down and in place, you fold your coil down over at about a 90-degree angle, you get it all glowing up right, you wick it, you vape it. That's about all there is to it, in theory. Here's the thing. These collets coming in 4 sizes like this, small, medium, large, and extra large, there's definitely some use cases where that's going to be perfect and it's going to be all you need. In actual practice, what I found is that I come across a particular build in here that's not suited to any of these sizes. It's really, really important. It's paramount to find the right collet insert for your build. And that's the thing. Sometimes the builds that I'm trying to throw at this thing, they're not the right size for any of the collets, is what I'm finding. That they're too small in one of them, that they're too large in the other. Of course, if it's too small, it's not gonna fit, but if it's too large, well, you'd think that you'd be fine once you tighten everything down, right? Well, the thing is that it's not. Once they're tightened down all the way, if you keep on tightening it, all that's happening is that collet insert is turning, twisting your lead and twisting your coil. There's a reason I've put about 4 different builds in here since I got it. There's a reason, and that's because it's odd. The way that it works with those sizes, 1.3 millimeters, 1.9 millimeters, 2.4 millimeters, and the way that they close, it's that they don't all close down all the way. There's still a good amount of gap left open on them once you've closed it down. So it's important that you match up the right size post to your build. My first build, I didn't film at all, but I made a 6-ply staple coil. 0.5 ribbon, 6 plies of it, 40 gauge on the Clapton wrap over the staple. I could fit 1 coil into the smallest option. 2 coils were still too small for the second largest option, the 1.9 millimeter. So from there, I made a fused Clapton and I spaced it with another strand of 26 gauge. The next build I threw in there was a fused Clapton, 26 gauge with 36 gauge over it, and then I put another strand of 26 gauge as a spacer, making a staged heating coil. What happened was that spacer coil, that staged heating wrap, was getting caught in the teeth of the collet. In the end, it was lighting up right, but it wasn't vaping right. And basically that's how I learned you don't want to get your leads stuck in the teeth of the collet. You want to keep all the leads in the center of the collet assembly. If the coil gets placed in those teeth, the collet insert, well, then it's not actually seated properly. You want it in the middle of that collet, because if it gets caught in those teeth, it's definitely going to spin, definitely going to cause your leads to twist. You don't want your leads to twist in this collet assembly because it creates hot spots. It creates a very metallic kind of vape. The next build I threw in there was a corrugated frame staple, and that one, it was 4 strands of corrugated ribbon wire and framed in 28 gauge, fused over in 40. That's why it has that really weird kind of light, cool way the light is hitting it, and the colors I got out of it were just awesome. But What happened there was when I tried it on the second largest option, just when I put it in there, the frames were already inside the teeth of the collet. And I knew that if I tried that one, it was going to just eat it. It was just going to twist it and eat the lead, and it was just gonna be a mess. So I put it in the extra large one, the 3mm collet insert. And I knew right away that it just wasn't gonna be the right fit. I tightened it down all the way, further than it was supposed to be tightened, honestly, and it was still just not making a proper connection. I got the coil to glow up right, and I got some beautiful color out of it, but it just wasn't fitting right. And vaping it vaped fine for the first few pulls, and then it was just kind of all over the place. The ohms were floating. It was just a mess because it wouldn't make the proper connection. Maybe if I'd made it a dual coil and put that in the 3mm collet insert, it would have been fine. But as a single coil, not gonna work right. But when it fits, when you match up the build to the right size collet, then it works great. It's just a matter of finding the right build for it. For instance, the last build I threw in there was a triple core fuse Clapton, 30 gauge cores, 40 gauge for the Clapton. I used the smallest option and it fit perfectly. And that build really worked well in here, and that's what I'm vaping on right now. It ohms out at about 0.4 ohms, and I vape it at about 80 watts. But once you get the right build in here, it works great. I'm also using some of this Doode wick, which was sent over. It's cotton, works well, flavor's good, organic cotton. So I like the mechanics at play here. I like the act of using the wrench. I like the way that, I put my coils in there and then position them into the place with a 90-degree angle. I like all that. I'm all well and good with that. What I question here is if the collet inserts could have been done a little bit better. The collet inserts, they don't accommodate all the builds I want to throw at it. For instance, some things I find are just a little bit too small for one thing, a little too large for the other thing. It's kind of like playing Goldilocks and the Three Bears. This one's too small, this one's too big, this one's just right, But the thing is that it's not just right. It's like the best possible fit, but the closures on the collets are not closing enough. Like if the collets would close tighter without twisting and warping the coil, that would be the win for me. Here's the thing, the analogy of the drill. A drill is not kind to your leads. We spend half the time when we do build tutorials talking about how to put the wire into the chuck so that it doesn't bunch up the leads. We talk about cheats on how to better accommodate that. So making the RDA terminals just work just like a drill, it's questionable, honestly. I think that it could work. I think that what might work better here would be rather than 4 points of contact, 6 points of contact or 8 points of contact where that closure occurs, just so it closes more evenly. And more tightly. I could see how different collets, different kinds of collets, different closures on the collets could work better for certain builds rather than others. Like a closure with only 2 points would work great to sandwich certain coils in there. Also, what would make this just a little bit better would be if there's a way to lock it so that it didn't move side to side when I was closing down. That would prevent the leads from warping when I'm turning the wrench. So it's like it's almost there. It could just be just a little bit more well refined and we'd have something really, really, really good here. But as it is, it's something that's interesting, but is also kind of limiting at the same time. But when you find something that works, it's a performer, it's good flavor, it's good vapor production. It's just a matter of finding the right build. In certain use cases, I think it's going to be a great option for my own builds, but I feel like I'm going to run into cases where I build a coil intending to put it in the Doode RDA, and then playing around with those different collets, I'm going to decide, okay, that one's not the right fit, this one's not the right fit, that one's not the right fit, and I should just go ahead and put this in something else. Deciding then and there if I'm actually going to put a build in the Doode RDA or if I'm going to reach for something else that I know is going to work. That's the thing. Anyway, guys, that's the Doode RDA from Squidoode. You can pick one up at thecloudyvapor.com. Till next time, I'm your homeboy Josh. Vape on, Vapers.